And Pam, would you like to start us off?
So this evening, founded by award-winning counselor and stand-up comic David Granirer.
Hey, that kicked butt and good Jays.
Who himself suffers from bipolar, Stand Up for Mental Health, teaches stand-up comedy to people with mental health and substance issues. David has run his program in over 50 cities in Canada.
Hey, folks, please, if you're going to have a conversation in the background, then just remember to mute yourself. Otherwise, please unmute so we can hear you laugh. Anyhow, go ahead, Pam.
Okay, so David has run his program in over 60 cities in Canada, the US, and Australia, and among other awards has received one from the Governor General of Canada.
Oh,
Wow.
I met David over 4 years ago and wanted to bring him to Montreal. And I never dreamed that I would get to marry my two passions, which are the Montreal Centre for Learning Disabilities and stand-up comedy this evening. For the show, David has trained some of the Montreal Centre for Learning Disabilities All-Star Ambassadors to do stand-up comedy all about their learning disabilities and ADD for the very first time. So please welcome David and his comics, the Ambassadors.
Yay, let's have a big round of applause. Come on, let's hear people. Oh, big Virtue, you can do better than that. Let's have a big round of applause. Thank you. Yes, and please, like I said, good. I like that enthusiasm. Yes. And please remember to unmute and turn on your video camera so we can hear you, because otherwise it's like we're talking to ourselves and they can commit you for that. Last time I was committed, I had to escape from the psych ward in a laundry bag. I looked like an unhappy version of Casper the Friendly Ghost. So anyhow, we're thrilled.
To get a bed.
No, I couldn't get a bed. They didn't have one for me. That's why I had to escape in the laundry hamper. But anyhow, you know, this is great because, oh, and let's have a hand for all the comics you're going to hear. All 7 comics. Yeah. And also a hand for Pam for organizing this. Thank you, Pam. We would not be here without Pam.
My pleasure.
And so yeah, and people really like this course, and you know, they say to me the same thing all the time. They say, David, we had no idea how much easier it is to be funnier than you. But you know, with this COVID thing, it hasn't quite gone away. My son was home from university taking virtual courses for a while, and one day he's like, Dad, today I researched iambic pentameter of the late Middle Ages. And I'm like, how about you research how not to live in your parents' basement till you're 30? But we recently got a financial planner, and the problem with that is we don't have any money. And he's a real keener. He's like, dude, you got plenty of room in your RRSPs. And I'm like, for what? Despair? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to transfer $14 worth of stock because then your RSP will be worth $14.
Oh.
But I just discovered this new thing. It's called green burials. And I love this. I now have 3 guys in my compost pile.
Green burial.
My rhododendrons have never looked better.
Oh.
And they say that the soul is who you are when you strip away the brain, the heart, and the body. But not a lot of people want to have that operation. And those who do end up in my compost pile. But I just found out this cool little fact that apparently when it comes to heterosexual men. When an attractive woman smiles at a heterosexual man, it affects his brain the same as cocaine. 'Cause in this is true. And in both
Oh
cases,
my
he gets
God.
depressed because he realizes it's a luxury he can't afford. And in terms of brain chemistry, activity in the brain is the same in husbands when they're watching TV as when their wife asks them to take out the garbage. In both cases, nothing happens. But with Stand Up for Mental Health over COVID, we've done a lot of Zoom shows, and we actually did a show, get this, for the US Secret Service. And I asked them, well, how did you find out about me? And they're like, oh, it was just a random search. And I'm like, really? But was it random? I'm afraid that I'm on a watch list for bad comedians. Yeah, apparently they took me seriously when I said I always bomb. Oops. But I do a lot of my work in the United States, and I always tell them, you know, Canada, you think you guys are tough. We are a tough nation. We give our military, and this is totally true, they give courses to our pilots on how to withstand torture and hopelessness. Yeah, they make them run as NDP candidates in Alberta.
My text.
But the deal is they don't want the pilots divulging top secret information to the enemy, because if the enemy wants that, I mean, this is Canada. All he has to do is ask politely. But I am a terrible flyer. I do a lot of, like I said, I go on the road a lot, and I was doing this gig in Northern Ontario, and I had to fly in one of those little planes, and I could feel every bump, every jolt. I was so freaked out. I saw Jesus and prayed to him, which is a problem because I'm Jewish. I mean, do you know how scared you have to be? Do you know how scared you have to be to hallucinate somebody else's God? And so finally, I'm like, help, help, we're all gonna die, we're all gonna die. And they're like, sir, stop that. We cannot leave the gate until after you sit down. But my wife comes from a redneck family. You know, we kind of joke she's from a redneck family where they used to get drunk and traumatize each other. And so I said, well, I'm Jewish. We're better than that. We don't need alcohol to traumatize each other.
There you go.
We do it with chicken soup and guilt. But I've done a lot of interesting gigs. I remember the absolute worst gig I ever did. We were doing a stand-up for mental health show at this big mental health gala. There were like 900 people in the audience. They talked right through everything. There were a bunch of presenters. Before us, there was this woman telling this poignant story of this horrible depression she had been through. They talked right through her. We get up, they talk right through us. It was horrible. After we were done, the depressed woman comes up to us and she goes, man, I thought my life was bad till I saw you guys. But my wife used to come to a lot of my shows, and you know, as a comic, you're always looking for feedback. So here's my wife and I driving back from one of my shows. I'm like, honey, so what'd you think about my set? And she's like, listen, David, I don't want to get into it. Every time I give you feedback, you always get defensive. No, honey, it's okay. I'm over that. You don't have to worry about that. Okay, well, you had a good set.
I'm gonna put away one and I'm gonna put the two.
Good? That's it? Good? No, I'm not getting defensive. I had a great set. Okay. Maybe my first joke didn't go so well, and you know, the last joke didn't go so well, and neither did the stuff in the middle. All right, so maybe it wasn't such a good set. Well, why didn't you say so at the first base? I wouldn't get defensive on you. But I also used to work at the Vancouver Crisis Center. That was my first job in mental health. And the problem with working at crisis lines is they never have any money. But I solved their problem. Before I left, they went out and got corporate sponsorship. But the problem with that is now they have to work commercials into their calls.
Oh.
Hello, you've reached the Coors Light crisis line. So you're angry because your husband left you for another woman. Well, hey, you can run him over with the new Dodge Ram truck. But when I first started on the crisis lines, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just so naive. And I was talking to this one woman and I kept on saying, here, I wanted to give her some resources. So how about you get a pen and you write down these resources and everything I'm suggesting. She's like, yeah, but I can't do that. Yeah, but that won't work. Yeah. And I'm like, come on, just get a pen. And so I just lost it. I said, lady, get a pen right now. And she bursts out laughing. And I said, lady, you are good. I bet you have defeated hundreds of mental health professionals. And she's laughing like, oh yeah, I've defeated 12 psychiatrists and 14 social workers. And my last counselor ran out of the room crying. And I'm going to defeat you too. And she did. But I was so naive. I remember one guy I talked to, he's like, yeah, man, I'm really depressed because I hadn't been laid in 6 months. And like an idiot, I'm like, well, geez, it's been a lot longer for me. And there's this beat of silence. And then he's like, what kind of loser are you? But before I bring on the first comic, I just want to just say that these folks have been working really hard. They've done amazing things. I'm so proud of them. So please welcome your first comic, Georgia Kyriakos. Give it up for Georgia.
Hey everyone.
Hello.
Hey.
Have you ever walked into a room and forgot why you walked in there in the first place? Or even better, you walked into the wrong room entirely? Well, that's the story of my life at work. When heading to the bathroom, I somehow ended up in the broom closet. At least there was a bucket in there. Short-term memory. I would love to explain it, but I already forgot what I was supposed to say. That's also the story of my daily life. I'm also a teacher. However, I'll admit sometimes I forget. Like when my students ask me to spell something for them, like how am I supposed to know how to spell the word end? I have dyslexia. I am lucky that they remind me that I am the teacher in the room and I should know how to spell. My LD affects my own mental health and how I perceive myself. But fortunately, I have a short-term memory, so I forget in about 5 minutes. Who needs pills for depression when my memory takes care of that? An article someone can read in an hour takes me about 2 to 3 hours. So I have to sacrifice certain things in my life, like my social life, movies, my daily showers. No wonder nobody wants to sit next to me in the metro. But let's talk about the LD word. For those that don't know what that means, I'm talking about people with learning disabilities. If you ever ask anyone I've been on a date with, they will tell you by the time I'm done explaining, they will get themselves a university degree. I might explain why I never hear back from them. Maybe I should start charging universities for all the candidates that I'm sending their way. Speaking of going on dates, has anyone been on these dating sites lately? Some people just feel the need to write their whole life story on them. It's bad enough it takes me 4 hours to read someone's Tinder profile. You actually expect me to remember all of that? I guess I'm swiping left on you, buddy. So I've been on some pretty weird dates. The weirdest one has to be where this guy made me spend 45 minutes guessing what tattoo he had and where it was.
Oh my.
I thought this was a date, not a gaming show. I was hoping that if I win, I'll get to delete my Tinder app and go home by myself. Even crushing silence as an existential loneliness is way better than going on this date with this guy.
Definitely.
Another weird date is where this guy showed up with a wedding ring. A wedding ring.
Oh.
Did he actually think that I wasn't going to ask any questions? Well, I asked him why. He said it was to keep the women away from at the office. I'm thinking, you don't need a wedding ring to do that, buddy. Your personality does that just fine. I had a student who thought we lived inside the earth. So I actually Googled, what is the center of the earth? It turns out it's me. I am speaking to my students in the classroom about LD and how I have it. And one of my former students is like, Miss, you never said this to us. His friends are like, yeah, she has about 25 times. Then he asks, does it ever go away once you get older? It's like he thought that once he graduates, things would change. I was like, yeah, you're going to have to grow up, move out of your parents' basement, and listen to your boss tell you something 25 times. But you will get to stay special for the rest of your life. People with LD, people think that my LD only affects me academically, though. Where have you been? Come, sit down. I'll tell you all about it. It should take about 3 dates, though. Have you ever asked yourself, who am I? Well, my really close friends would say that I'm kind, honest, and a passionate person. Unfortunately, those friends don't exist. But if they did, they would say that I will run a mile for them. But let's be real, who runs a mile at the age of 33? The only thing I'm running is out of breath. But honestly, I am there for those close to me. If you ask anyone else, they will tell you that I seem rude, mean, and crazy. That's why I get so many hits on my Tinder profile. I like to call it my resting bitch face, but yes, thank you for the compliment. I have to say that this face has actually gotten me out of a lot of things, like having to talk to people I know, people on the street. My favorite time having this face is when someone was asking me to donate for some cause. I was like, no, thank you. I have my own problems. It's called dyslexia. I can tell you all about it though over dinner. Come, and then you can get yourself a university degree, or so I'm told. Thank you everybody for listening.
Yes, give it up for Bridget. I should have never made her try and guess my tattoo location. That was a big mistake, but I did get a university degree out of it. So I figured it was a fair trade-off.
That's so funny.
But as you know, as you folks know, I mean, mental health is my thing, and you can tell the mental health of our society by looking back at ancient societies. Like the ancient Egyptians were not concerned with mental health because they were worried about disease. They're like, we created the Sphinx, we created the pyramids, and I'd be like, you might still be around if you'd created the fridge. They're like, our mighty pharaoh was felled not in battle, but by a day-old ham and cheese croissant. And they, back then, they didn't understand the grieving process as we understand it today. When the mighty pharaoh died, all of his family was killed so they could join him in the afterlife. And I can just see the undertaker taking the kid to the funeral. Yeah, kid, think of this. It's kind of like a makeover. We're all going to end up looking like your mommy. Yeah, kid, you're into rap? Well, that's great. So is everyone else at the funeral. Or at least they will be once it's over.
Yeah.
But I can just see the mighty pharaoh waking up in the afterlife. What? My whole dysfunctional family is here? My wife hasn't wanted to have sex in 5 years. Now I won't get it for eternity. And servant, I'm hungry. Get me a Big Mac. What do you mean the afterlife only has Wendy's and KFC? This is hell. Oh no, wait, if it was hell, it would also have a Denny's. It's a joke, people. It's a joke. But stay with me on this one. So the ancient city of Ur in the Bible, they were into human sacrifice. They weren't into self-help. They were into human sacrifice, but apparently they were a family-oriented culture. So this would give an interesting twist to a birthday party. I mean, do you sacrifice the birthday boy? In which case, the last thing you'd want is to walk into your living room and have 25 people yell, "Surprise!" I can just see a Thanksgiving dinner gone awry. Is this drumstick from the turkey or Uncle Frank? And today we understand gender fluidity and that it's a healthy thing. But back then, submissive, underachieving males were sacrificed and eaten. Today we call these males Canadians. And it's a drag to think that you're only a couple A's and sorries away from becoming someone's dinner. And they said that apparently a lot of the human sacrifice victims were volunteers. And I can just see if it was me, I'd be like, whoa, wait a second. Never said anything about this in the volunteer agreement. What do you mean it was under and other tasks as needed? Anyhow, folks, your next comic, he is a laugh champ and king of the dad jokes. Please give it up for Chris Simeone.
Hi. I'm a laughing champ because of my laugh. My jokes, on the other hand, I'm working on. Been working on it since I was 18. I'm 31. God, I feel old. I was actually on Virgin Radio not long ago, and I actually won Battle of the Dad Jokes. Applaud, please. It's a pretty big deal, especially for someone with learning disabilities. Here are two of my winning jokes. Why wear pirate clothing? To let people know you're rated R. And you thought wearing less clothes was better. What's with all the phones? How do you know who's a Franco or an Anglo? No wonder the language police got $5 million.
True.
People call me a goof due to my jokes, due to my faces. I always felt I was adopted, so I sent a paternity test to Walt Disney. I'm still waiting for the results, but I'm pretty sure Goofy is my father. My LD actually affects my relationship with words, how I write them, how I say them, how I spell them, which in turn causes social, emotional, and physical issues for others. My first 3 years of life was not easy. I didn't really speak. So while other people would throw tantrums, I would bit butts. I bit adults right in the butt. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I can't find words, but man, can I find food. For superheroes, the saying goes, with great responsibilities, with great power comes great responsibilities. For dyslexics like me, it's with great misunderstandings come greater chances of being rejected.
No.
I went on a double date once, and I wanted to give my friend's girlfriend a compliment. I want to say her hair was very exotic. It came out as erotic. I only figured out something went wrong because everyone started looking at my crotch. I lost a girlfriend that day, and I no longer get invited to double dates. I was at a Tim Hortons once, and I wanted a cherry donut, but it was very low. So I was saying, "Chérie, down, chérie, down." I'm no longer allowed in Tim Hortons anymore. No wonder the language police exists.
Oh, dear.
The worst incident was when I learned the word meditation.
Oop.
It somehow registered as masturbation.
Oh.
So you can imagine me in Sec 3 ethics class when the teacher said, "We're going to practice meditation."
Uh-oh.
The teacher kicked me out of class. I had to explain to my parents and my principal why I chose to pull down my pants. I work as a behavior interventionist. I'm like a firefighter, just hotter. Now I'm just waiting to be asked to be in a calendar.
Oh.
Instead of running into fires, I dodge chairs. Teachers can be really mean. It's like every time I walk into a classroom, I'm sharpening my matrix skills.
Ooh.
People love to comment on how I dress. You look like a mess. You don't look professional. Where are your pants? What? I was meditating. When I do dress professionally, I get the best compliments. Like, wow, oh my God, are you a celebrity?
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm Chris Pratt. This is what I look like without money. My LD did discourage me from learning a lot of stuff, like martial arts, soccer, pole dancing.
Pole dancing.
Just kidding. I know how to pole dance. I work in schoolyards. They're everywhere. But seriously, students can be really mean. That's why in my field of work, you need extra skin. Thank God I'm not circumcised.
Oh.
Once a student called me a bastard. Joke's on them. I know who my father is. Goofy.
There you go again.
Everybody, thank you very much.
Hey, bravo. Yay, Chris.
It's the laugh channel.
Woo.
Thank you.
Give us a laugh before you leave.
Yeah.
So yeah, after listening to Chris, I'm no longer going to go to those group meditation sessions.
I had a psychiatrist like him once.
Yeah, and my butt is still recovering from the time he did a chunk out of it. But yeah, so there's a new trend now in society. It's called minimalism. It's doing more with just making do with less. And I know this guy who gives minimalist presentations. He's a speaker, charges $30,000 per presentation. So obviously he's not planning on doing with less money, but I can just see people coming out of his presentation. Oh, Lance was so inspiring. Thanks to him, I'm going to rid myself of my earthly possessions, my busted Coleman stove and my kiddie pool, and I will inspire the neighbors to do the same. And together we will start a movement of love and peace and call it garage sale. And he also sells, this guy, he sells minimalist diaries, and they have pockets and flaps and graphs. You know what a true minimalist diary is? A pencil, a toilet, and a roll of 1-ply.
Oh.
How I write all my jokes, which is why I get a minimalist amount of laughs. Now here's my minimalist comedy act. Hey folks, how you doing? Okay, that's it. That's my time.
Goodbye.
That'll be $30,000.
Oh.
Actually, my minimalist comedy act, it's all setups and no punches. It's up to you to fill in the punches for yourself. But they are using minimalism in other aspects of life. For example, you're on an adventure vacation and they're lowering you in the shark cage and they're like, dude, we're using a minimalist amount of metal now, but we're pretty sure these paper mache bars will hold. Of course they're new. My kid's grade 3 class just made them yesterday. And then there's the minimalist hospital. You're going for open heart surgery and like, oh, anesthetic? Yeah, no problem. We'll give you 2 aspirin once the janitor cuts you open with this steak knife. And then there's the minimalist psych ward where you get diagnosed by your own voices. And not only can they not afford name brand drugs, they can't even afford name brand placebos.
Oh.
Anyhow, folks, your next comic, she programs robots, which is really cool. Anyhow, please welcome Francesca Dansero.
Hey, Francesca.
So, see, the MCLD decided to approach me to be part of this comedy show. And I kind of hesitated because, you see, I'm a scholar, not a comedian. So if you ask me to write a research paper by Monday, no problem, you got it. To deliver these 6 jokes, my son had to go through puberty before delivering them to you. So when I was a kid, I couldn't sit still. And boy, did I talk a lot. So I decided to put it to the test. And so I learned 3 languages. So that means I know how to write and how to read and also insult people in 3 different ways. My parents decided to send me to a good private Catholic school. So I can't say the nuns were mean or anything, but they did rip up my dictée because of too many spelling mistakes. They did tell me, even Francesca could do better than you. And on top of it, they would put me in front of the class and call me retarded.
Oh.
They're the ones that decided that quills were the best writing tool. The chalkboard was the best instructional tool. And oh yeah, cutting and pasting, that was the work of the devil. So, cutting and pasting, I guess Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, well, they must be the devil too. But then they realized that they were going to revolutionize all these outdated teaching practices. See, I now have support with my spelling. I could delete instead of rewriting. And oh yes, when someone decides to call me retarded, the power of Christ compels me to press a new button called block that asshole. So my mom, to help me out, decided, let's read a book called The Engine. So I learned I could do it. So she was right. I became persistent. I became determined. Oh yes. And now I became the asshole. So I always got myself into trouble because I never really understood jokes. And then when I found out that I had an LD, well, now I really knew life was not going to be funny. At the age of 12, I wanted to become a doctor. I had my whole trajectory planned. But you know what? If it wasn't going to work, I was going to join the military in the special forces. Even though I had ADHD, I was a bookworm, always in my books. And I never got out really that much. But why would I need to? I have a whole frat party in my head. I've always had someone telling me and reminding me what to do my entire life. Unload the dishwasher, feed the cats. Now it's, don't forget to go get your son before social services comes. The only place I don't get that is work. And now no wonder I decided to bring a cot and pajamas, and I work 16-hour days.
Wow.
And as part of, programming and what I like to do is interventions, I programmed the Now robot. Now imagine I programmed this robot to say and do as it pleases, as I please. And on top of it, it understands all emotions. boy, do I wish I could do that to my husband. He's already programmed because to not get in trouble, I get, yes, dear. We want to give absolutely everything to our children. So I did. My son has an iPad, he has a computer, and 15 learning disorders. Right now, I'm also currently pregnant. I am due in June. And I decided, how many disses am I going to share this time? Dyslexia, dysgraphia, dysorthographia, dyscalculia, dysphasia. You know what? Instead of naming them all, I'm just going to throw them all in there. Let's really share it. So, I already know I decided I was going to further my education and get a PhD. So I went to my dad and I let him know. So he said, oh, you're getting a PhD. You're going to pilot higher and deeper. Let's pilot higher and deeper. All of the sections of my life. Oh, you're a retard. Block that asshole. Wait, what? Oh, here's a frat party. I could do it. Isn't that psychology? No. It's the end of my comedy.
Yes, Francesca Dancero. Yeah, so Francesca is in the process of programming me. She's trying to program me to be funny and write funny jokes. So far, it's mixed success. But my wife is glad. My wife is glad I'm going to be. Actually, my wife is awesome. She's different than all the other women I ever asked out because she said yes. But one of the trends now in therapy, because I'm a counselor also, aside from a stand-up comic, and so I'm a counselor, and you know what that means? It means I know nothing. Okay, my favorite pose in a counseling session is this. And here's what psychiatrists do to freak you out when you're in the hospital. So you're in your room in your bed and they stand just outside the door and they're talking about what to have for lunch. And every so often they look at you and go, and when you notice them looking, they go, but there's a big trend using psychedelics in therapy, and I myself am one of the premier researchers into psychedelics, having conducted numerous tests in my late teens and early 20s, featuring me as the primary test subject. And I would have continued in this promising line of research, but my main supplier all of a sudden disappeared for 3 to 5 years. But they use mushrooms in therapy. That's right. And I can just see my medical plan going, I'm sorry, dude, we don't cover pizza toppings. We suggest you try a provider called Little Caesars. And since you have mental problems, we suggest adding some crazy bread. But here's the way it works. Okay, so you have to have 2 therapists on site. You have 3 12-hour sessions, 8 90-minute preparation and integration sessions. The whole thing costs $15,000. In the 70s, we'd get a hit of acid for $5, and our preparation sessions would go like this. Yeah, our preparation sessions would go like this. Hey, you want to get high? Yeah, okay, let's do it. And our integration sessions were like this. Whoa, that was awesome. You got any more acid? But in the 70s, we wouldn't just sit around, waste a high by sitting around. We'd do stuff. Like a friend of mine, he got high on LSD and he went to work at Dairy Queen. I mean, he didn't actually have a job there. But our favorite album to trip to back in the 70s was Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd. And back then, okay, so today to listen to it, you have to know how to use Spotify. back then to listen to it, you had to know how to get stoned and fix a cassette tape with a pencil. And I mean, Pink Floyd is the perfect music to do drugs to. I mean, no one drops acid at a Shania Twain concert. Anyhow, folks, your next comic, she just got back from Thailand. Please give it up for Megan Kerr.
Hey guys, so tonight I'm going to take you on a journey with me through my educational career, which, as it happens, is a career you don't get to choose. The hours are terrible and there's no benefits. So just like a real job. Back when I was in elementary school, I found out I had ADHD, dyslexia, and dysgraphia. So I was basically every teacher's dream. Oh, sorry, nightmare. Nightmare. I was single-handedly the reason why there was a special ed teacher at my school. Fortunately, though, nothing ever stops me from talking, which is why I'm here tonight. I'm definitely a master at BS. Survival. Yeah. If I wrote a book, it would be called How Do I Talk My Way Out of This One? If I wrote a book, I doubt it would be very legible. Teachers were always asking me things like, did you do your homework? And I had the typical responses. The dog ate it. I got abducted by aliens. Triple anxiety stopped me from opening my textbooks, and I sat in the corner of my room all night. You know? In high school, I went to a fancy private school, and we had a uniform, and I always had uniform violations. My tights were ripped, my shirt wasn't done up right, and they hated it when I showed up in my pajamas. And again, some of the classes were so boring I needed to sleep through them. Finally, they got me a computer, which helped with my homework and my Mario Kart. Even so, I wasn't a typical rebellious teen. Like, I would never set my school on fire. If it was burning, I wouldn't call the fire department either. I ran for student council, and it was actually unanimous. All the teachers opposed my candidacy. However, I did once accidentally punch a girl in the nose. Listen, her nose just got in the way of my fist, and she was As someone with ADHD, I never knew what was going on in class. My teachers would ask me questions like, where's your homework? Why were you late? Why did you punch that Jewish girl in the nose? Now I'm in university and I'm studying communications, which is a trip. Not the communications part, but university at all. In university, I have an advantage in that I'm 24 and most of the other students are 18 or 19. So I understand certain things like deadlines, the fact that if I went out drinking every night, I would probably collapse, and that the number one way to get a good grade is sleeping with a teacher. Actually, read a mathematical formula. Hello. I don't know if you've ever looked at the algebraic formula for conversation, but it makes you never want to talk to anyone again. You can always spot the people who took that class in a party because they're the ones in the corner weeping. Incidentally, that's also the learning disabled people in a classroom. When I started university, it was the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. And a lot of people with learning disabilities were finding online schooling to be really difficult.
Mm.
But in all honesty, it was kind of a dream come true for me. I mean, I could never be late since the classroom was just in my basement. And now when I showed up in my pajamas, I was being socially responsible. Over the years, I've done a lot of different jobs that I've really liked. But most recently, I got my sommelier certification over the winter. So now I can be a socially sanctioned alcoholic instead of just a bad one. I actually also own a production company with some friends, and I make movies. So somehow I've managed to fall into both an ADHD stereotype and an artist one. I'm going to be broke for the rest of my life. It's practically a prerequisite to have some kind of behavioral issue in order to join the film industry. Mine is ADHD, but my buddy's is his performance anxiety. And I know it's true because his girlfriend keeps complaining about it. But hopefully, you all have had nothing to complain about tonight. Thank you so much for being such a great audience, and enjoy the rest
Yay.
of
All right, well, I'm just going to bring on your next comic and keep the show going on. So please welcome Mr. Arthur Olivenstein.
Hello, everyone. So, as I said, my name's Arthur. I was born the day the Habs won the Stanley Cup. My dad wanted to call me Stanley. My uncle wanted to name me Patrick Waugh Olivenstein. I would have had the initials PRO, pro. But Mama said it's Arthur. And we haven't won the cup since. It's all her fault. Sorry, Mom. I'm a phys ed teacher and a sail instructor in the summer. So I don't really work at all. Except on my tan. Oh, except on my tan. So can I get a little more sunscreen on the back, please? I think you missed a spot back there. Yeah. In my dreams. Good thing too, means that I can wear Nike instead of Armani. I just do it. So my learning disability, what is it? It's dysphasia. Basically, it's a party in my head that is loud music, dancing, socializing 24/7. No wonder why I can't sleep at night. I tell myself to turn the music down, but I just cannot find the power button. Maybe it's here. No. Oh, here it is. Ow. I think I just broke it. Oh well, party, folks. All right, so high school. High school was an AC/DC experience for me. Just a highway to hell. So I had devil of time doing my work differently than my friends. I had to take multiple detours on the highway, and I somehow ended up in Alaska of all places. I couldn't get my bearings straight.
A couple of people got that.
So I'm a visual learner. If I see it, I know it. And if I hear it, well, sorry, what did you say there? So I mentioned before, I had to work differently than my friends. They read something once or twice and they get it right away, but I had to write it down over and over and over again. Because of that, I single-handedly consume half the forest between here and Alberta. No, as a matter of fact, when it comes to climate change, I'm even bigger danger than wildfires and bovine gas emissions. I was given extra conditions during my exams. They give me extra time, they give me breaks, and they let me cheer up the guy sitting right next to me. Too bad his name was Frankenstein, not Einstein. But that extra time really helped me. Now, as a matter of fact, I'm still working on my grade 11 midterms. So another hobby of mine is sailing. I lost track of the number of times I was hit in the head by the sail. It knocked me so silly that when I thought I was lost at sea, I was actually going straight and won the provincial championships when I was 16.
All right.
Guess I was heading in the right direction after all. My mathematics final exam began at 8 a.m. and ended at 11:30. But there was a situational problem that I just couldn't figure out in that exam. My dating life.
Well,
Now, for a sport guy like myself, I still have trouble running to first base. I tried bunting, taking a walk, even sliding into home plate. But I'm always called out. So if there's a girl out there who wants to play ball, send over a curve, and let's see if we can hit that home run. So now you understand that I don't understand. But there's some pluses to that. See, I don't have to make small talk because I just don't get it. So at a party when people are basically talking about nothing, I'm not really missing anything, am I? These things just go over my heads. But if you want to discuss who is the greatest hero, say Luke Skywalker or Han Solo, or why Spider-Man is great, but the Amazing Spider-Man ain't so amazing, or why Donald Trump is a oh wait, sorry, this is a family show, right? All right.
Yes.
Well, then I'm your man, okay? My steen you. Oh, darn! I hate it when I get my words mixed. Thanks for hanging out, folks. Enjoy.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Arthur Olivenstein. Yeah, and if anyone wants to learn how to hit a home run, he's your man. Yeah. So, people ask me, because I've been doing this for a long time. And they're like, what's your legacy? What kind of legacy do you want to leave? And that sounds so pompous, like people are going to be putting statues of me up all over the place. And then in 100 years, they're going to pull down those statues because they'll say I ran a joke sweatshop.
Well,
And I'll be like, he only paid us $2 a joke. I sent him a joke that wasn't funny and he deducted half my paycheck. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take their jokes and I'm going to sell them to Colbert and keep the money myself. You'll have all of a sudden Colbert will start to do jokes like, yeah, so I have dysphagia. I'm dyslexic. Hey, wait a second. Who wrote this crap? Oh, I got it from David Sweatshop. No wonder. All right, folks, your next comic, please give it up. He's got a huge, long intro. Actually, he gave me a long intro to read, and I'm going to read it. A high school dropout, juvenile delinquent, drug addict / party animal, ex-professional ski patroller, world traveler, university degree, major psych and diploma in computer technology, was a volunteer head coach for over 100 athletes in bowling and speed skating for the Special Olympics, former crisis intervention special and ADHD coach, actor, movies, TV shows and commercials, corporate trainer, and an award-winning speaker, and just loves himself. And for the past 13 years, a stay-at-home dad to a mini Lauren on estrogen. Give it up for Mr. Lauren Abramovich.
Hey, Lauren.
Yeah.
I hear you.
We can't hear you, Lauren.
I hear you.
Lauren, we can't hear you.
Lauren,
Your sound is not working. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. That was my daughter, the mini me on estrogen. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Here she is again. She's hiding behind the chair. Somebody asked me if I put away money for her education. No, I put away money for her therapy fund later in life. Okay, so I better get back on track. I am ADHD Maximus with conduct disorders, you name it, I got it. So here we go. I began to act out at a young age. I was 8 years old and I went into Steinberg's grocery store and I stole some Jell-O. So there I was snorting craft blueberry Jell-O, and little did we know that I would become an expert in pharmacology and medication. And later in life, I would have on my business card the initials AACANA and ADHD Maximus. So as a kid, I would call a sweet pain in the butt. My father would never get a membership for anything unless I broke into a place and he had to buy them off. So I broke into the swimming club and I stole chocolate bars. I got a membership to the swimming club. Then I broke into the tennis club and I stole chocolate bars and I got a membership to the tennis club. Then one day I realized he should just buy me chocolate bars. It'd be a lot easier. I'm going to jump way ahead now to university. I never went to high school, so let's get past all that stage. When I finally arrived at the, when I finally got to university at the age of 31, I realized I was having reading problems. So I went to see my cousin, who's an eye doctor, and I said, Stephen, I'm having problems reading. He said, Lauren, you know, you were a drug addict and, you know, a high school dropout, and all you ever read was Playboy. And I'm not even sure you read Playboy. Okay. Into my, when I first went to university, I did take an intro to psych course. And after my, we had to do the Rorschach ink blot test. And after my professor took a look at mine, she ended up in therapy for 12 years. It was sad. While I'm in university, I learned something about myself. For me to learn, I have to apply what I'm learning. So I called up the Douglas Hospital, which is a local psychiatric hospital in Montreal. And I told them who I was, and they said, come on down. And so when I arrived there and I walked in, I told them my name. Two big orderlies come running at me with straitjackets. We've been waiting here for a long time. No. I explained why I'm there and I'm here to volunteer, and that's the past, you know? And so they, walked me to the volunteer department, and as I'm going down the hallway, I pass by this room. I look in, it's a padded cell, and in there's my psych teacher, still going, Lawrence Rorschach. Lawrence Rorschach. I hope, 30 years later, she's finished a little bit. So, when I got to university, I started up a coaching service. So I registered it as PITB, Professional Coaching Services. Stood for positive, inspirational, together we end up with belief. It also stood that now I'm the only Anglo officially registered pain in the butt in the province of Quebec. So we'll jump a little bit farther to life at the age of 53, when my wife decided after 15 years that I am going to become a father, whether I like it or not. And so she came home and she said she wanted my baby. That's you right down here. She's on the floor still. I said, you want my baby? I did LSD, I did acid, I did mescaline. The kid's going to come out with 14 arms and so off to the fertility clinic, because after 15 years with my wife, never using protection, we never had a baby. So I had to go have the test, and they sent me into this little cubicle, a room with a door and a VCR and a video machine. And they said, bring back a sample. So I go in, I turn on the video machine, and I go, this is going to be cool. But no, they gave me a towel like sandpaper so you don't stay too long. And, and all of a sudden, I see a man and a woman, and they're making love. And I look, nothing. I don't know what's going on. So fast forward, and there's more scenes and more scenes. And then finally, you get to two men making love. And all of a sudden, got my sample. I said, oh boy. Now I gotta tell my wife. I gotta come on. I go home and I see my wife and I say, Lena, I got something to tell you. I got the sample. but I think I'm gay. And she I said, because that's how I got the sample when there was a gay scene on. And she goes, no, Lauren, you're not gay. My wife is very smart, so she was able to figure this all out for me. She goes, your thing was when you saw two men making love, you realized at the subconscious level that two men having sex together cannot have a baby, and that's what excited you. Oh boy. My wife, God bless her, she was in labor for 23 hours. And finally, it was time. And I'm there with the camera. My wife's on the bed, the legs spread, the doctors are there, the nurses are there, and I'm filming. And then my daughter comes up. Beautiful, she's so gorgeous. And I'm still filming. 5 minutes go by, 10 minutes go by. I still got the camera. The doctor comes up, sir, you can stop filming. The baby's out. No, I'm waiting for the manual. I need the book. I need the manual, please. Where's the instructions? A couple weeks later in the mail, this manual arrives, and my wife is Asian, and the manual arrived in Chinese, but not in the dialect. Yeah. So one of my challenges that I'm facing is that my daughter's, I'm 64 right now, going into my retirement years. My wife is 50, going into menopause, and my daughter is 12, going into 13, which is puberty. So I become an astronomer because now I can predict the full moon 5-6 days in advance. I've read studies that show that men's estrogen levels rise after they become dads. As I am an older dad and my testosterone levels are dropping, when my wife and daughter go at it, my female side kicks in and she's a real sweet pain in the butt. And I'm going to leave you with one last little thing, and this is about my mother. My mother was beautiful, and she always wanted something special. And one day I came home and there was this monkey running around the house, and she goes, I went to her, I said, Ma, why is there a monkey in the house? She goes, well, when I was a little girl, I always wanted a monkey, but unfortunately we had no money then. But now you have a PhD. Papa has dough. So we have a monkey in the house. Okay. I said to my mother, Ma, where's the monkey going to eat? The monkey's going to eat with me, you, and Daddy at the table. Okay. Where's the monkey going to sleep? Both me and Daddy. I said, what about the smell? Well, we got used to your father's smell. I want to thank you all for the laughs. Just thank you. Have a great evening, everybody. And I am ADHD Maximus.
All right.
Maximus.
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's Mini Maximus on estrogen.
Yeah, folks, I'm still recovering from seeing Lauren's Rorschach.
Oh my.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to those 12 years of therapy. Yeah, for sure. But before I bring on your last comic, I'm just gonna ramble a little bit more. So I've been reading autobiographies of the rock stars I used to listen to in the 70s, and these guys were total jerks. They did tons of drugs, and as someone who works in mental health and who cares about how people treat each other, I have two words for that kind of lifestyle: freaking awesome. But now they're getting old. Let's see Steven Tyler walk this way after he falls off the stage and breaks his hip. They'll have to call that song, Walker This Way. And Meatloaf was way past his expiry date. But they're getting old. I can just see their fans taunting them. Yeah, Mick, not so easy to sing Jumpin' Jack Flash when your dentures keep falling out. I mean, they're getting old when their drug of choice is Metamucil. I can just see them rushing Keith Richards to the hospital because he overdosed on fiber.
Oh my God.
He's in the green room before a show and Mick catches him trying to inject a bran muffin. But I had a tough childhood. I had my parents made me play the accordion. What a crap instrument that is. I got PTSD, polka traumatic stress disorder. and ADD, accordion deficit dysfunction. My playing was so bad, even the dog would howl and run away. And you know something's bad when even an animal that thinks the toilet is a margarita wants nothing to do with it. But polka has been proven to cause a kind of mental illness that impairs your judgment. I mean, how else would you explain a room full of people in lederhosen doing the chicken dance? And they even have polka versions of rock tunes. They have a polka version of Stairway to Heaven. I mean, who needs satanic messages to embed satanic messages when the polka version of Stairway to Heaven has already killed 3 million people? It's how they clear the dance floor at Oktoberfest. You know, people drop dead by the time they get to the tuba solo. Anyhow, folks, your last comic, she is the reason this happened. She put this together and we are so appreciative and she is hilarious. Please give it up for Pam Weiner.
Thank you, everybody. Give it up for David and all the other ambassadors, the comedians. They
Bravo.
are fantastic.
Bravo.
Yes.
So, as you age, you grow, you discover, and you develop. I've grown into a bit of an eccentric, discovered that I have ADD, and developed bipolar disorder. And these have been the good times. Now, finding the right medication wasn't easy. It was kind of like being Alice in Wonderland. One made me fat, one made me trip over my own feet, and one made my hand shake. But man, can I make a mean martini and not shake it, not stirred. Now, my memory, which is an executive function, has never been great. But as I've gotten older, it is really bad. I spend my life looking for my phone, my keys, my mind. People ask me, how do you stay in such good shape? Well, I'm constantly climbing the stairs, looking for my coffee, searching for my martini, and my snacks. That's how I manage to stay in shape. During COVID, I actually lost all my ID for a whole week. So not only did I not know what day it was, I didn't know who I was. I hope dementia doesn't run in the family. My aunt has it. So I went out and I bought her a pair of shoes with memory foam in them. They would help. She says they're really comfortable, but I don't think they're working because I have to remind her to put them on. As someone with ADD, I don't like being told what to do, which is why I became a preschool teacher and a mother, so I could tell other people what to do. Besides, preschoolers and I have a lot in common. We have the same attention span, and we're known to laugh so hard that I have wet my pants. In fact, one time the children's library, I left my mark on a chair. And actually they actually have a plaque on that chair and it says, P was here. Now, some of the thoughts that go through my head are like junk. I'm tempted to call 1-800 got junk.
Without.
And you know those big cars for waste that they use when you're having a renovation, that they pour all the way, put all the garbage into. Well, some of them are actually called PAM cars. It's true. And the only difference between, actually the PAM car is kind of like my brain. It's a disorganized junk. The only difference is that the PAM car's junk is better organized and has more value at a garage sale. Now, whatever happened to the days of a penny for your thoughts? By now, I have paid for my therapist's swimming pool. Anyways, my husband asks me all the time, why do you like doing stand-up so much? Well, I answer him, where else can you get paid for 5 minutes of work? Besides, when I do your laundry, do you give me a round of applause? Let me tell you, baby, in the world of stand-up comedy, in the kitchen, I am the secret ingredient. And don't you forget it. Roast that I heard last night, I expect
Please
a
only
standing
inform me when you
ovation.
decide on a.
And furthermore, security will escort you out of the kitchen to your sleeping quarters for the next 3 days, the next time you heckle my mashed potatoes. I am late for everything. My brother says I'm going to be late for my own funeral. I don't know. I think that's a good thing. First of all, for the first time in my life, I'll be there before everybody else. Second of all, I want a comedy funeral, so I'm going to be the headliner. And all the pallbearers will have to do 5-minute sets. And if bomb, they'll have to be buried with me. Anyways, having a daughter with dyslexia and having twins 2 years later nearly drove me crazy. Wait, I'm already crazy. I quit. But after volunteering with this wonderful organization for 30 years, who has helped me to support my daughter be a success in her chosen field, my colleagues here have helped me at 50 to discover that I have ADD and why I have always felt like a square peg trying to fit into a round hole. Now, I embrace the gifts of ADD every day, and I feel blessed to have taken this journey and to all the wonderful people that I have met along the way. Thank you very much.
Yay. Thank you. Yeah.
Bravo.
Wasn't that a great way of ending your set? And by the way, I would suggest you be very careful what chair you sit on in the library from now on. Yeah, 'cause she doesn't-
Before you close the show, I think Karen has something she wants to say.
Okay.
Karen?
Oh, yes, thank you. Well, thank you, everybody, but I'm not the official thanker, but I did want to thank you anyway. I'm here to do publicity. So here it is. MCLD is charitable, and we rely on government grants and donations and memberships, and in order to be able to have these kinds of webinars, and we also have all sorts of information and resources and other kinds of events like these. So anything you can do to help is appreciated. You can go to our website. It's ldmontreal.ca, and you can become a member. Over here, are you a member? Log in or register, and you can also donate. And this evening is recorded, and you can watch it for free on our website for 30 days, but then after 30 days, only members can watch it. They have access to all of our webinars and recordings. So yeah, that was my spiel. That's what I wanted to say. So you can continue, David.
Okay. Well, let's give Karen a hand, because that was really important. And you'll notice that on the donation page was a big picture of me. So this is actually a donate to get David's kid through college fund. I didn't know that. But yeah, no, that's just the way it goes. So I'm looking forward to the help. The great thing is that if you don't donate, so these folks all have learning disabilities, so it means that they've overcome them and they're very persistent. So we know where you live. We'll send them around to your place. So like I say, you better cough up. But I just want to say, working with this group, one of the things that I've gotten out of it is I've just learned so much about learning disabilities and what it takes to overcome them, and just the amazing strength that all these folks have shown to get where they are today. I'm just truly honored to work with this group. It's been a wonderful experience for me, and the MCLD just does wonderful work. So I want to give a hand for all the comics. These folks were fabulous. They were funny. Yeah. And I would like to give another round for Pam for making this all happen. And Pam, I'm going to turn it back to you to finish up.
Actually, I'm going to turn it to Sana. Who wanted to finish it up for us.
Yeah. I wanted to start with thanking Pam and Dave for getting and putting this awesome show together. Thank you so much, you guys. You were awesome. Thank you for your guidance to our fantastic comics tonight, David. Ultimately, I want to thank Georgia, Chris, Francesca, Megan, Arthur, Lauren, Pammy, for you definitely, all of you have a lot of guts. Thank you so much, you guys, and you were awesome. And thank you for everyone joining us tonight. We really appreciate your support.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
I'd just like to say what an awesome experience this was for me. As a stand-up comedian, I have never been in a show that quite like this, where we all work together cooperatively to make the show the best show possible. And I want to thank you, David, for that opportunity. And I want to thank you all, the ambassadors too. It was for me personally an amazing experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam.
Thank you all for coming, and hopefully we'll see you all around, and I'll see the comics in a couple minutes at our debrief link. So thank you very much, and take care, and thanks to MCLD.
Thank you, David.
David.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes, thank you.